Boom, baby, we're live. Welcome, Tokyo Crypto Show Season 2. Will a Bitcoin strategic reserve send Bitcoin to $1 million? We're going to be talking about the latest trend in crypto right now, which is the Bitcoin strategic reserve. We're going to be going into details of what this is. And basically what this is are it's governments around the world, namely the United States of America. Big Daddy Trump is leading the way, apparently. If this legislation goes through, we believe that this is going to trigger the Bitcoin's arms race of our time, kind of like in the Cold War when Russia and America were rushing to build as many nuclear missiles as possible. I do believe we are actually already in an arms race, a silent arms race around the world. And this has just been some legislation that's been floated, and President Trump did run as the first pro-crypto candidate. So if he does back out of this, because, you know, nothing's official till it's official, but if he does back out of this, it's going to be a really big blow to his presidency right off the bat. We're going to see what happens when he gets into office. He is meeting with a bunch of pro-crypto people. He had a meeting with Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, which is the largest cryptocurrency exchange in America. So we're going to be talking about that. Nothing but pure facts, data, no speculation, no hopium, none of that nonsense here in Tokyo Crypto Show Season 2. And we're going to go right into that today. Gentlemen, welcome aboard. How are we all doing today?
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Good stuff. Yes, that's right. Well, it's Thursday here in Asia, but I think in America it's still Wednesday. But happy early Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Gobble gobble. Let's so we had quite the turbulent week. A lot of people were calling the top. A lot of people were saying, "Oh my God," you know, because Bitcoin got within less than $500 towards $100,000 Bitcoin, and a lot of old long-term wallets actually started selling. But honestly, when you reach such a large psychological number, I do think that you know, it's just normal to see people take profits a little bit early.
Yeah,
James,
and the other thing, you know, we gotta keep in mind is that not everybody has the same holding period, right?
Right.
So, you know, here at the show, we tend to look at a little bit longer holding period, where it's in 12 to 24 month outlook. Some of the, you know, professional traders might have a holding period of mere weeks or days. So when you made 50% profit in less than 30 days, they would rather lock that in for the quarter than try to, you know, hold on to that position and carry the risk of it, you know, going back down.
Right. And you made, I mean, James, you're the voice of reason with us in the chat, and you were telling everybody just calm down, because what was the exact numbers? We went up. I mean, we went up for what percentage in 3 weeks?
Like 40% plus.
Yeah. November's like 48%, I think.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Even with the current pullback?
Oh, not with the current pullback.
No, to the peak, right at 99,500. Yep.
That's not an asset that's worth more than $1 trillion. Like,
yeah, that's incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. There is a lot going on. DOGE is pumping because of Elon Musk is out here talking about the government of department efficiency. And he did you see what he said yesterday, James? He's gonna audit the IRS.
I'm waiting with the popcorn.
Yeah, I'm not paying my taxes anymore. Fuck it.
look at it this way: Pentagon misplaces close to $1 trillion every year, and they fail every audit every year. But if you don't, you know, claim $500 in tax refund, they'll come after you, and they deal with the penalties and potential jail time. I mean, this is incredible, right?
Yeah.
It's still ridiculous.
Yeah. Memes have been taking a little bit of a hit as well, but that's okay. It is what it is. Like I said, we've had 3 weeks of mania. Like, we just blew past 70 and 80K, and nobody bats an eye. but like we dropped $4,000 to
Sky's falling.
when the sky is falling. Everybody's like, it's over. We're dead. The world is coming to an end. It's game over, man. It's game over.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
You know, so we
looking at the total market cap, we started before October at close to about 2.4 trillion dollar total market cap. We're sitting close to 3.5 trillion. I mean, just incredible. Market cap went up by third and $1 trillion, and people are just losing their mind over less than 5% correction.
Yeah. According to Coin Market Cap, we're at $3.34 trillion total market cap right now. And what we're going to do for you guys is every episode from now on, this is a great idea from James. We're going to be having the daily crypto prices right there at the bottom, so you can see that's where we're currently at right now. And yeah, total market cap. We put Whiff and Peanut in there because those are some of the trending memes right now. Alex, I guess I want you to take it away because Alex also something. Ethereum actually did something. All it took was Bitcoin. Bitcoin almost going to $100,000. And if you bought Ethereum in the summer, now you're break even. So
it's amazing.
What a deal.
It was good on Ethereum actually. It's had a bit of a a jump up. It's still though. Oh wow, look at that. I don't know why it's. All right. Basically, Ethereum at $3,400 now, which is great. However, if you're looking at like Solana, which was pushing over its all-time highs, it's sort of like Ethereum should already be over that. Ethereum has not had nearly the amount of inflation as Solana. Ethereum should be well into $5,000 now, but it just isn't. So, anyone who's still had Ethereum now, it should go on a run. We've been saying that it should make money compared to USD, but in terms of its like long-term through the market, like I'm not even convinced it would really outpace Bitcoin by any meaningful margin. So if you're holding Ethereum and you still haven't swapped it across, depends on what your sort of percentage balance is, but you're sort of a bit locked in at the moment and you're on a run. And so, if you've got Ethereum now's not the time to be dumping it because you've got this lovely run that's currently going through. So it's good, but it's nice to see some things move. I mean, we saw like XRP run. We saw even Cardano do a bit of a run. Polkadot. Holy moly, that was hilarious.
I feel like I'm 2021.
So you're just seeing like all of these like coins from previous cycles, like just suddenly waking up and flying up. I don't really expect them to, get some sort of huge life. Like Cardano probably, I don't expect it to beat its all-time high, but who knows? But even from here, that's sort of you're going from $1 to $3. There's better plays out there. We believe Solana would be a better play, for instance, than even that. So what was interesting about seeing things like Cardano come up was that the Bitcoin dominance actually wasn't changing. It was still staying at sort of above 60% as all of this money just started flowing into all these random. So that was probably like the $100,000 on the horizon for Bitcoin was sort of getting people who had sort of bought positions and walked away because they were upset that we had a nice big bear market. And now all of a sudden they're going, oh shit, that's right, I got some crypto. And they've jumped in and they're just sort of throwing some money into the things that they had an idea about. So, we've sort of got the retail coming back, waking up, coming in. So that was actually quite good. When we come to Solana, we have, and if you didn't know, we're having a Black Friday sale on fucking TradingView.
Thank you so much.
Every fucking tab. Oh my, I get it, and I'm gonna get it because it costs literally nothing on the Black Friday sale, and every other day it costs like $1 zillion more. So for Solana, looking fabulous. We came up, we broke an all-time high. This is the weekly chart. Hooray! Big cheers. Makes sense. I actually thought we might break it a little bit later, so that's quite nice. But you can see how we have the intersection. This line is coming from the bottom of the bear market, and then this was the all-time high line, and kaping, very nice. We came down, but we've quickly recovered. So if we had closed below here on the week, then I would expect it to go a bit lower. I would have expected 2 weeks of low price action after this sort of push, but it looks like it's recovering well. So we might only have 1 week down, and then we might just continue, or next week might be a bit of a quiet week. but all's looking good on the Solana front. For Bitcoin, we are just, it's a bloody dream. This is going really, really, really well. I know it might look a bit, dense right here, but we are enjoying a move of 48%. We flew down about 10%, $99,000 to $90,000, and now we're all the way back up at 96. So it is quite funny because people thought $64,000 was too expensive, and then they started buying up here at $98,000, and then the price came to $90,000, and they went, "Oh, I don't want to buy," and then now it's back up to 96, and it's like, well, what do you want? You got your 90, you got your 10% drop to pick up some more if you weren't in here for some reason. So it is funny seeing like the psychology of people fly through, but Bitcoin is doing beautifully. We could expect another thing really is the 60-day cycles Bob Lucas thing that's going through, and we have sort of last week we're on day 17, so now we're in the 20s, low 20s of the days, and so we're expecting a low around day 30. So we were sort of always expecting some sort of slowdown and a low at this stage. The $90,000 might be it, but we could easily next week we might have another low week. We could easily come down to 87 and everything's still peachy. So things are chill. If you'd been in any time, any time before the last like 2 weeks, you're in profit healthily and just having a relaxing time. So that's great. From here, we might get somewhere into day 45, Bitcoin cycle stuff, somewhere around the middle of December. We could easily be all the way up here, which does seem ridiculous, but it would be a logical spot to stop. Personally, I think that is pretty crazy. That'd be very overheated. I would probably sell some stuff if we got all the way up there. I'd be expecting a big drop back down again. But basically, it's sort of smooth sailing for Bitcoin. It's got all this room to play through. It's well above inside this fan here. Like the weekly is gorgeous. We've got the volume just flying up in here. So we've got strong volume. We've got price rising. We've got a major breakout over a long time period. We've got all-time highs getting blasted. Like last week on the show, we kept hitting a new all-time high every fucking 20 minutes. So just everything is looking really, really good. So anyone who's panicking or freaking out, you're probably not now. Yesterday, when it was all the way down here, you were probably, and today you woke up feeling for some reason everything's a bit more relaxed. That's why you can't really trust your emotion. Use it as a one piece of information, but you got to look in the broader picture, because right now 96,000 seems expensive again. 90,000 seemed like the world's 90,000 seemed expensive for people yesterday, and now all of a sudden they're buying up at $96,000, and now that seems fine. So just don't panic, don't freak out. Last week we had fear and greed at 80, and we were feeling pretty chill. And this week we knew that a correction would be like expected. It wouldn't be anything crazy. We knew it could come all the way down to $84,000 and still be fine. And even then, everyone, even though we knew that everything's fine, of course you still feel like, like it was nearly 100 and now like 10% down, and I looked at the number and now the number's not as big this week, and but we still sit and chill and enjoy the gains. So just relax everyone. Sold Bitcoin, actually, really quickly on Solana Bitcoin. It is still threading this movement. So I expect like a pchong.
Yeah,
to launch at some stage in the near future. And this is the weekly too. So this is a very long time period. So yeah, very, very exciting.
A couple of things is that I was expecting us to go past 100,000, then do a pullback, right? Because it's just such a psychological number. And I was expecting, 15 to 20% pullback where people were taking profit and, people were calling local top or whatever. But looks like we did a pullback right before 100,000, and it was, less than 10%, right? Around 8 or 9% pullback. So actually, market is looking relatively more stronger than I thought. There's actually a demand there to catch everything. And second thing is that, like Alex was saying, in the market, there are two different types of trader or the investors. They have what's called the strong hands and what's called the weak hands, right? Strong hands would be the guys that jumped in when we were telling you guys, beginning of the show last year, when Bitcoin was at $30,000, $40,000. And when you jumped in at $30,000, $40,000, you can kind of see it in big picture saying, hey, I'm up $50,000, $5,000 pullback is nothing. So we call these people strong hands, right? Who can stomach the short fluctuations and pullbacks during the long macro bull run cycle. Well, we got the weekends who waited until it went past 90,000 or 98,000 when you're all-time high, saying that, oh, I'm going to jump in now. I'm ready to jump in, and jumped in at 98,000 and cracked it down to 90,000. You're down like 9% and you're panicking, right? Because you waited a year to jump in at the local top. So like we were saying, it's more of a psychological and emotional game, right? Because it being a strong hand in a market like this gives you that buffer to deal with your emotions and your psychology. When market pulls back 5, 10, 15%, you can say, hey, it's just a correction, right? And people like that jumped in at 98,000 and they went back down to 90,000 and got out, and now they're panicking to jump back in at 96,000, right? So you're going to get whipsawed out if you're a weekend, unless you can really stomach that roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I mean, talk about emotions. God, these guys are crying at all-time highs. And then if you take a look here, this is KAITO AI. If you just search the term, bull market is over, right? It was just kind of overblown. You could see this is across Twitter, Farcaster. This is across also podcasts, Telegram, Discord, all this stuff. If you just look at the term,
you didn't put in Blue Sky? You didn't put in Blue Sky?
No Blue Sky. No, I got banned. It's two genders and I immediately got banned. So this is the spike. So we saw a spike here. This was on March 21st, which is 7 days after Bitcoin hit the all-time high on March 14th. And then we had a little bit of a spike here, right around the 12th, and then we had a spike on the 26th. But yeah, the bull market is over. Also, if you could type in if this phrase here, the top is in, you can see that also. This is over the last 7 days as well. We had, you see, look. So basically, crypto Twitter has been calling the top all year long for like a year straight. It spiked in September, but it's been consistently when you say the top is in. Yeah, I mean, they're crazy. Just going real quick while I got the KAITO AI going. The token mindshare for the past 24 hours, Bitcoin has it at 13%. Ethereum has gained some traction at 10%. And then Solana is at 7%. And we have some meme coins. We have XI or AIXBT, Pepe's up there, Doge is up there as well. I think I didn't see, yeah, here in Tornado, because of the Tornado Cash legislation as well, that got overturned. Chill Guy, obviously insane how that thing's taken over. And then if you look at the narrative, the AI narrative is blowing the fuck up. It is 35%. And that is directly correlated to memes, because the AI and memes are directly correlated to each other. This is in the last 24 hours. We just booked back to the last 48 hours. It's down 33.6. And then the last 7 days, 31. But at the last 24 hours, it has been hot. It's been at 35%. I'm going to go real quick because I just want to touch on some stuff. And then Steve, because it's kind of related to the markets as well. I will go ahead and I will say that there was a great episode of Mark Anderson on Joe Rogan recently, and he came out and he said a bunch of things, basically kind of what we all really thought was true. So the Democratic Party was trying to get total, complete dominance over the American people by controlling and operating a set of companies, and those companies would get all the provisions and all of the regulations and all the benefits from the Democratic Party. This podcast just came out a couple days ago. And also it came out that his Biden administration, which really, it wasn't Biden. I don't know who was running the country, but it wasn't Biden. They were vehemently anti-crypto. it is on record, and I have some clips here I want to play for you guys real quick. Pay attention because this is important to, this episode's not going to be like money's coming, which it is, but this is like the episode you sit down and you pay attention so you're actually educated on what is actually happening with the United States government and how this is going to be leading to a potential Bitcoin strategic reserve. And we're going to explain that in a second. But take a quick look here. I have 2 clips I want to show you guys. And just let me know if you guys, there should be sound.
And that's why this administration freaked us out so much, is because it felt like they were trying to become way more like China.
See, I was not nearly as aware as I should have been about all these things you're saying. I didn't know this. I did know about the banks, and I certainly didn't know that they were cracking down on AI the same way they cracked down on social media.
The AI thing was very alarming. We had meetings this spring that were the most alarming meetings I've ever been in, where they were taking us through their plans.
And this guy is the creator of, I don't know if he's the creator of Truth Terminal. I think he is, but he's the one who gave $50,000 crypto allowance to the AI Truth Terminal, and then the GOAT meme token was made, and that thing ran up to $1 billion.
Before that, remember, he is one of the co-creator of a Netscape browser.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he owns that venture capital firm, A16Z, right? Mark Andreessen. So they do a lot of high-tech venture capital out in Silicon Valley. And that's very interesting because most of those guys are very, very left-leaning and progressive.
Yes.
And for them to kind of, take a step back and say, oh, shit, we need to, vote for Trump, that's huge.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And look, you'll see, because he actually goes and he says that. So they're cracking down on AI because AI is going to really show how incompetent the government is, I think, in my personal opinion. I think AI can really reduce the government workforce by like 80%. So that and Elon coming with the Department of Government Efficiency. So I'm optimistic for the future, guys. I don't think we're heading to this dark dystopian future. But listen to I'm just going to rewind it here. Listen to what he says again.
The same way they cracked down on social media.
The AI thing was very alarming. We had meetings this spring that were the most alarming meetings I've ever been in, where they were taking us through their plans, and it was
like what kind of? Can you talk about it?
Basically, just full government control, like this sort of thing. There will be a small number of large companies that will be completely regulated and controlled by the government. They told us they just said don't even start startups, like don't even bother. Like there's just no way. There's no way that they can succeed. There's no way that we're going to permit that to happen.
Wow.
Yeah, they said this is already over. It's going to be 2 or 3 companies, and we're gonna control them, and that's that. Like this is already finished.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
No, when you leave a meeting like that, what do you do?
You go endorse Donald Trump.
But
so that's part 1, and then part 2 is when he specifically talks about cryptocurrency, because again, the MO of the Democratic Party right now is they want as much people on government welfare and government assistance as possible, because that's how you can control people. That's not what America is all about. And here's how they talk about how the Biden administration has been so anti-crypto. And take a look and listen here.
As marijuana started to become legal, as prostitution started to become legal, and then guns, which there's always a fight about. Under the Obama administration, they started to debank legal marijuana businesses, escort businesses, and then gun shops, just like your gun manufacturers, and just like you're done, you're out of the banking system. And so, if you're running a medical marijuana dispensary in 2012, like you, guess what? You're doing your business all in cash, because you literally can't get a bank account, you can't get a Visa terminal, you can't process transactions, you can't do payroll, you can't do direct deposit, you can't get insurance. Like none of that stuff is. You've been sanctioned, right? None of that stuff is available, and then this administration extended that concept to apply it to tech founders, crypto founders, and then just generally political opponents. So, yeah, so that's been like super pernicious. And,
I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, 100%. And this is called
all illegal.
Was 15 years ago against the pot and the guns. 2.0 is primarily against their political enemies and then to their disfavored tech startups. And it's hit the tech world like we've had like 30 founders debanked in the last 4 years. Yeah. It's been a big recurring pattern.
He said 30 founders debanked, like they were taking off banks, taking off everything, which crypto fixes that.
30.
This is one of the reasons why we ended up supporting Trump. It's like we can't live in this world. We can't live in a world where somebody starts a company that's a completely legal thing and then they literally like get sanctioned.
So that's actually what was happening with the previous administration. Thank God they are gone. Hallelujah to the Lamb. Did you guys see Kamala post her drunken thing yesterday?
She was.
You didn't? Did you see that, Alex?
Are we in the
Yeah.
Chardonnay 50s era?
Oh, dude, look at
Enter
this,
the
bro.
50s, start chugging Chardonnay. No,
Listen, I am a person who I've worked in nightclubs for many years, and I'll tell you, I can spot a drunk person a mile away, and this chick was, you'll just see, like, I can't believe, and she forced her team to let her say this. This is 3 weeks after the loss. It's a full speech. It's like a full 9-minute speech. We're not going to watch that, but I'm going to just play a clip from it because it's just, dude, I can't believe she forced her team to let her do this. And here, just take a look at this.
Don't quit edging me.
Like, this looks like James when he's like a couple drinks deep in Burgo Street. Look at this.
Couple, just one. One.
Look at this.
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you. I just
Like, it's just,
Man,
That's
this
just
is a
sad.
Wendy's.
that's sad.
You know what that sounds like is like, let's say you go to Thanksgiving dinner, right? And you have an older aunt
Yeah.
that's divorced and just found out that her ex-husband is dating a younger and hotter chick, right? And she's drunk and she's ranting on you about the shit that's going on with her life. You know what? That's what it sounds like.
This is the end of the speech too. Look at this real quick. This is her.
shut time, bitches. Oh yeah. Let's try this one more time. Well, damn. Okay, last one. Promise. Shit, damn.
Oh shit! Hennessy, she's drinking Henny. Oh, my God, nice.
Oh, damn, that's some good shit.
Yeah. I'm party with her.
Yeah, she looks like a wild one. One more piece of news. This was on Fox News. This was posted, I think it was yesterday. This is on Fox Business. Take a quick look here because things are signing up and lining up to be pretty pro crypto in America, which is going to lead the way. And then we'll talk about the stock market right after this.
Crypto czar is critically important because there's a lot of promises, as you mentioned, and they're across the board. It's not just the SEC chair does this. You need tax writers to make sure that the moratorium on capital gains taxes on U.S. crypto that he's promised is done. You're going to need the White House counsel's office to write the executive orders to end what they call choke point 2.0, the debanking of crypto.
Yeah.
You're going to need somebody to run this crypto council.
And you think he'll do it?
Oh, I think he's committed to do it because it's part of his overall. Look, Trump wants to create the second industrial revolution in America.
And he thinks crypto is one of the paths.
Part of it, along with nanotechnology, AI, quantum computing, biotechnologies. If we could go from where we've been the last few years, which resistance to innovation, to really furthering innovation, we might be able to get to that 4.5% growth rate and get us out of our debt. This is why I do think.
So again, like I said, this is the first ever president in the history of the United States of America to run on a crypto platform. I have two more things I want to show you guys real quick because you guys are worried about the price. This was in 2020. Bitcoin crashed below 16K because somebody in the chat saying Bitcoin's going to dump after Thanksgiving. Probably not. And it says Bitcoin crashed below 16. Bitcoin crashed below 16K exactly 4 years ago. They called it the Thanksgiving Day massacre. Everyone who bought the dip is up 480%. So there's that. And if you just look at the history, again, we've been showing you guys, we've just been showing you history. We've just been showing you math. We've just been showing you legislation on this episode and this season 2 of the Tokyo Crypto Show with a far better team. Here we are. This yellow line is indicating this is Thanksgiving in 2017. That is during the bull market, 2017. 2020, this is the Thanksgiving massacre. That was last year. This is Thanksgiving 2023, last year. And then here we are coming up on Thanksgiving. And I think we're going to have a green December as well. I don't think that we're just going to, the bull market is not over. You really got to be careful who you're listening to on crypto Twitter, because I would say 99% of them are idiots. And yeah, it's just, it's a bad thing to just sit there and take advice from people who don't know what they're talking about. And unfortunately, those people are everywhere. So be sure, like if you're listening to us, just it's in your best interest just to listen to us. If you're listening to someone else, like, you know, our information and their information probably aren't going to add up, and it's going to probably cause you to lose some money. So just be careful out there.
I'd also like to add that this is also entirely true for the stock market. If you guys are listening to analysts from JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, so on and so forth, please realize that like these analysts might give a buy rating to completely unhealthy equities and the like, because their respective bank that they work for would be scared of losing the company in question's banking business. So fake ratings are everywhere, guys. Please be careful where you get your information from. Even if they have a really nice golden name behind them like JP Morgan, it could be a complete bullshit review. Like maybe I could be, this is just an example, but I could be writing a, you know, financial review for Meta, and I could say Meta's a buy and even say that they have a 30% upside, but that could just be my boss telling me to write that and post that because the bank that I work for gets 50% of its business from banking for Meta. So we can't write Meta as a sell, even if we think Meta is a sell. Just an example that's done every day on Wall Street all the time for you guys to be extra sure on where you're getting your sources or what information you're getting from your sources from.
Like Steve said, these guys from, you know, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, they're what's called the sell side analyst, right? They have to sell. They have to sell the recommendations. They have to sell the equity, right? So like he said, they could be multiple reasons that why are they recommending their stock. The company that the stock belongs to could be their banking client or one of their big trading client, or could hold a large position in Meta and they want to get out of it, right? So they're looking for an exit liquidity. So by, you know, JP Morgan analysts recommending Meta, you go ahead and buy the Meta, you become part of their exit liquidity, right? So they're called the sell side analyst. So always keep that in mind when you watch, see something from CNBC saying that, oh, I'm the all-American analyst from Goldman Sachs. Well, but you're still sell-side analyst, right?
Yeah.
If you're a buy-side analyst, like, you know, from Bridgepoint or, you know, any of these big hedge fund or investment company, they won't recommend any of the stuff, because when they recommend, if a buy-side analyst recommends stuff, that's going to make public to go in and buy the stock, that's going to drive the stock price up. So it actually works against the buy-side analyst, right? So you got to always keep in mind who they're working for and what's their incentive to recommend the stock.
Yeah. And then also recently, so Jim Cramer is kind of like a meme in the crypto world. And recently, everybody calls it the inverse Cramer, right? Where whatever Jim Cramer says, the opposite is going to happen. So recently, Jim Cramer has come out and said Bitcoin is a buy at like 99,000, 98,000 range. And then the price of Bitcoin started to dump off. But what I think a lot of people don't believe is, or don't realize, is that Jim Cramer is controlled. He's part of a media organization. And these companies like BlackRock, these big financial institutions, they have massive influence in the media, like James and Steve here were just saying. So that being said, moving forward, we got to be careful with what you see on mainstream media, because they are controlled opposition. They are not your friends. Also, basically, Michael Saylor on Monday purchased 30,000 Bitcoin off of the OTC market, which is when you buy Bitcoin kind of off of the exchanges, and it doesn't really move the price too much. So now people are believing that there's approximately 50 to 60,000 Bitcoin left in
OTC.
in OTC. And what that means is once that supply runs out, which that supply is set to run out in 2 weeks max, then the price has nowhere to go but up, because the supply is going to go down. And when supply is down and rare, the price goes up. Alex?
This is the MicroStrategy chart. Just something that's very, I noticed and was very, very striking was that Bitcoin dropped about 9 and a bit percent from about 99,000 and some change to about 90,000 and some change. In the same time, MicroStrategy, whose entire business model is just like one giant fucking leverage play on Bitcoin, dropped 37.3%. So, and that was just on a 10% drop. So you got to remember, if anyone's getting really, really big into MicroStrategy and getting very, very excited about it, it is so like when Bitcoin moves a little bit, the effect is like is pretty much 4 times the effect on MicroStrategy. So like I'm sure Michael Saylor's been doing well at keeping his liquidation level relatively tame, but I do think he's burst into the 40s or mid 40,000s now. If he keeps on going the way he does, and then we experience a giant correction, just because of if people buy lots and lots and lots and lots of shares of MicroStrategy and it keeps flying up, and Bitcoin drops 20%, then you literally could see an 80% drop in the MicroStrategy valuation. So just keep in mind, if you thought, oh, listen, getting Bitcoin and putting it in a cold storage or something is a bit difficult, and I might just buy some ETF and might just buy some MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is essentially like an altcoin against Bitcoin. It is so freaking volatile. So we expect Bitcoin to go well, so MicroStrategy should also go well. But just keep in mind, like when Bitcoin moves down, MicroStrategy gets absolutely decimated, because this was like 2 days. It's just like 38%, just gone, boom.
Yeah.
And now it's climbing back up again. And, that was off, we've bought another 50,000. And, everyone's like, oh, okay, they're still around. But holy shit, like that was nuts. And Bitcoin's now up back at $96,000, and MicroStrategy was around here. So it's still like almost 22% down from where it was when Bitcoin was at the same level it is now last week. So I expect like an 80% drop in this at some point.
Yeah. A lot of traders and institutions, they cannot hold the pure crypto, right? So they've been using the ETF. But like Alex said, look at MicroStrategy almost as a Bitcoin times 3, right? So it's going to move 3, 4, 5 times volatility of the Bitcoin. So a lot of companies, since there is no 3, or what they call it, the ultra pro shares, right? The 3 times leverage of Bitcoin as of now. So they kind of use MicroStrategy as a proxy for leverage Bitcoin play, right? So, and I think one of the strategy that Michael Saylor is doing is that he's sucking up the OTC volume as much as possible. That way, when the OTC runs out and the Bitcoin start moving up really fast, that's going to drive the MicroStrategy prices really up, really fast, really high, right? And I think that's one of the plays. That's why he's keep raising money to suck up the OTC volume. That's what he's counting on, that once the Bitcoin OTC supply runs out, people have to go into the exchange and start buying it at exchanges. That's going to really move the price up. But like Alex said, it cuts both ways, right? The leverage cuts both ways.
And also writing down what James says.
Yeah.
Write down what James says.
Yeah.
Just to be sure on MicroStrategy's history as a stock, there were 3 different times in this year where the stock fell more than 20%, then recovered higher. From March to early May, the stock falls around maybe 25%. From then May to early July, it falls maybe another 18%. And then from about mid-July to September it falls maybe 25 to 27%, then recovering higher than the amount it fell each time. So just be aware that MicroStrategy has huge swings.
Yep.
I wouldn't necessarily immediately, just because MicroStrategy starts dumping, if you're a holder of MicroStrategy, I would not take that as a sign to sell, and I wouldn't necessarily use MicroStrategy's performance if it's dipping really hard as the sign of like an oncoming bear market. That is completely normal behavior for that stock. Just sort of giving that as a extra add-on.
You want to give us a quick read on the stock market? Because I feel like it's doing well. Like Palantir and all these other stocks are just booming right now.
Oh, I mean, it's funny because I just keep reiterating the same thing, but the conditions have been remaining the same. Inflation is still under control. Admittedly, one thing is that a lot of these big institutions have these sort of more old school economists. There is a little bit of nervousness now surrounding Trump's tariffs, mainly because Trump has not came to a final decision on the policy surrounding these tariffs. So economists aren't sure which company is going to be hit, which company is not going to be hit. Because if I'm a company that manufactures 70% of my product in China, I'm going to get hit hard by Trump's related tariff. But if I do nearly all of my business in the US, if anything, that's a gain for me. So the market's kind of digesting that information right now. NVIDIA's price action in particular is showing that impact, but it's more of a question mark rather than a bear or bull catalyst one way or the other. Aside from that, we're still getting dovish statements from the Fed chair, and then, of course, the various individual branch presidents, such as from Atlanta, San Francisco, so on and so forth. They're still giving dovish statements. They're still dovishly footed. There was a little bit of high inflation in October, but that isn't enough to make them want to change course or suddenly stop engaging with cuts, because we still have falling employment gains numbers. So they're going to remain dovishly footed as a result. Same as before. Aside from that, for the last quarter, the quarterly results came in recently. Exports were surging from the United States, up 7.5%. Consumer spending was up greatly for the last quarter at 3.5%, something that nearly every bear and their dog flagged as something as a reason to be bearish for. Well, they all were wrong, so there we go. And GDP was also up 2.8% as of the last quarter. If it was to repeat that performance, for all 4 quarters of the year, that means that we would come out to 2.8% GDP, above most economists' expectations for the American economy this year, by the way. So we're still looking strong. Same argument as before in general for the whole market. Also, notably, just throughout these past few months, other central banks have also becoming more dovishly footed. So that's also added more to the liquidity picture. That's really all I have for general markets though right now.
We're about 3 weeks and change out from the last Federal Reserve meeting of the year. What do you think, Steve? I personally think we're going to get a cut. What do you think?
I would roughly expect a 25 basis point cut. And if they don't do it in December, they're going to do it in the meeting immediately following.
In January?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either going to be in December or January. Either way, we're getting a 25 basis point cut. I wouldn't expect 50 or anything like that, though.
That's overall bullish, though, because it ties into what James has been telling us from the very beginning with the liquidity coming back into the marketplace. So now I really want to touch on the U.S. Bitcoin Reserve. And there's another clip I have here from Fox News because I want to talk about this, because basically what the Bitcoin Reserve is that the United States government is going to start holding Bitcoin in the treasury. And they're going to have a wallet full of Bitcoin, and they're not going to touch it. And if the Bitcoin Act of 2024 gets passed, the United States government will buy 200,000 Bitcoin and store it per year. Now, keep in mind, I just told you that there's approximately best case scenario right now, there's 80,000 OTC Bitcoin available. The amount of Bitcoin on exchanges is at an all-time low. They have never had the smallest amount of Bitcoin in human history. Keep in mind, there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin made ever. So currently, right now, the amount of Bitcoin circulating, I'm gonna give you an exact number, is 19.79 million Bitcoin. And they have estimated that about 4 million of those Bitcoin have been lost.
Yeah.
Lost on hard drives, sent to scam wallets, whatever.
So 15 million Bitcoin?
Roughly
overall?
like 15.7 million. So let's just say 16 million to make it simple. And BlackRock has been making massive acquisitions. Michael MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor at MicroStrategies. He has, I think he has around 300,000 himself. These are some of the largest holders in the world. So I'm going to play this clip that I'm going to explain to you why this strategic reserve makes a lot of sense and why it most likely will be happening. And if that does, that literally can send Bitcoin to $1 million. Some people are saying within this cycle. James, I want you to add on to the pension thing you've been telling us since the beginning of the year too, after we play this clip.
Also have a great item.
Consider thinking about putting crypto.
Yeah, and then I think she mentions it here too.
Yeah, one of the states that are thinking about putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. What do you make about states putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense. So Trump proposed a Bitcoin stockpile, as you know, not a reserve, but a stockpile. It's a subtle difference.
Okay.
Countries have been stockpiling commodities since the dawn of time. We stockpile oil. We used to stockpile gold. China stockpiles rebar and copper and soybeans. Countries stockpile precious commodities as the world's first digital commodity.
Do they have the financial wherewithal, though, to manage that on a balance sheet?
I'd have to look into Pennsylvania's wherewithal, but I do think it makes sense. I think it makes sense for the United States. I think it's a very forward-looking idea.
You know, are you worried that the speculation in the coin has outpaced the technology of the blockchain? Because the blockchain is the transformational technology, right? The coin is the facilitator. It's like the juice that goes through the system, but you need a system. The system, I still haven't bought a slice of pizza with Bitcoin yet, or I don't know any. I mean, what's going on?
Charlie, you and I are the same vintage. We're old enough to remember the dot-com bubble. And in the dot-com bubble, prices got ahead of the underlying technology. It wasn't that people didn't want to engage in e-commerce. They didn't want to do it using dial-up modems, and they didn't want to do it putting their credit card information to a dodgy website. It took the arrival of 4G and 5G technology, took the arrival of PayPal and other utilities, took the arrival of Amazon delivery to make e-commerce a reality. The price always gets ahead of the underlying technology, but then the underlying technology catches up.
We are totally out of time, but we love having you. Thank you.
That woman has no idea what she's talking about. Neither does that guy, Charlie. We've been talking about how this, and then this guy, this is a good follow to talk when you're talking about the strategic reserve. This is a guy on X. His name is Dennis Porter. This is, which state do you think will announce their Bitcoin strategic reserve legislation next? Like they were just talking about Pennsylvania there. And then the number of mayors and city councilors looking to buy Bitcoin for the city has massively spiked this cycle. Great sign. A lot of Bitcoiners are working in local governments. These local leaders are future governors and members of Congress. Build the bench. Now, why is this bullish, James? If you could just translate that into DeFi, or it's into from TradFi to crypto land.
So all these, states or the governments, one of the things they all have in common is the increasing debt, the liability side of the balance sheet, right? So when you're looking at a business as almost from a banker's point, you don't look at P&L as much. You look at the balance sheet, right? You got your asset on the balance sheet, and you got equities and liabilities. And as the liability goes up, you have to shore that up with more assets. And, one of the things that can keep up with the liability, as we saw with some of the earlier episodes of the Tokyo Crypto Show, is the Bitcoin and some of the high growth, tech stock equities, right? So by shoring up their asset side, they can try to kind of patch up some of the increasing liability or the debt they've been issuing. And they're seeing that, hey, Bitcoin can not only keep up with the inflation, it can keep up with the liabilities or the debt we've been issuing. So by doing that, they can shore up the asset side of the balance sheet by increasing their capacity to issue more debt. So it's almost like a vicious cycle, right? They issue too much debt, so they're going to buy a Bitcoin or some kind of asset to kind of rebalance their balance sheet so they can issue more debt, because they're just not going to get out of the cycle of issuing debt. And by that, you're going to create a huge demand for the Bitcoin, like we've been saying. And we just read that Brazil just proposed they start wanting to have a Bitcoin strategic reserve in their Brazilian government also. And all the Wisconsin jumping in, Michigan's jumping in, right? Microsoft is looking at it. Even Amazon, right, is discussing they're going to put the Bitcoin in their balance sheet. So this, MicroStrategy and, Michael Saylor was kind of almost like a leading edge of this Bitcoin arms race. So, you say, John, right? And market is rewarding them with this high stock prices. And, all these other businesses and the governments are seeing it. And they're going to try to copy that play, I think, is that not to 100% degree, right? But to a certain degree that, hey, maybe we need some crypto or the Bitcoin on our balance sheet so we can kind of rebalance our balance sheet so we're not upside down. It's like you being upside down on your mortgage. Sooner or later, the bank's going to come and foreclose, right?
Yes.
And they're trying to prevent that.
Yeah, that was some news we're going to bring up. Yeah. So, and then a lot of things are being, a lot of doubters of Bitcoin are being really silenced right now. So I'm going to show you guys something real quick. So this happened in about October. The German government sold nearly 50,000 Bitcoin at 58,000. So you have 50,000 Bitcoin. I'll do some live math for you guys here. Oh, 1 second. Let me reshare. So the German government, they had about 50,000 Bitcoin. So you have 50,000 Bitcoin, and they sold it at about 58,000 per Bitcoin. Okay, so they made this was $2.9 billion at the time, right? But if they had just held until now, because if they had anybody with a brain on their staff, they just left basically $2 billion on the table in a span of 2 months. That's not a small amount of money. That's another thing that people are realizing, that this is kind of similar to when people were adding blockchain. In 2017, there was a company called Long Island Iced Tea, and they changed their name to Long Island Iced Tea Blockchain, and their stock market or their stock price soared. And if you take a look here, James had to go, guys. By the way, he had a heart out. This company here, a publicly traded Chinese company, SOS stock rises 100%. That was today, after announcing plans to purchase up to $50 million worth of Bitcoin. So it's hot right now. People in China, they also know, like I said, in the Shanghai courts recently saying that, the possession of Bitcoin in China is no longer illegal. Okay. So that is just, like I said, this is just a huge win. And then Russia recently made Bitcoin mining legal in the nation of Russia.
So I'd like to add in, that's enough to have a bull market start and be bullish on cryptocurrencies on its own.
Oh yeah,
the world's second largest economy, and with some of the largest financial markets, are now re-legalizing the ownership of these kind of assets. I mean, that alone would make me think, are we going to start a new crypto bull run? Like, this is a huge influence to have, guys. And not only that, but these countries are now competing against each other.
Yes.
Every move that America makes, China doesn't make, and vice versa. And Russia as well. When they see that other countries are moving for the greater adoption of cryptocurrency, they're going to think, okay, we need to make our laws in turn even more lax, even more adoptive towards these kind of assets. Otherwise, we're going to lose. Otherwise, we're going to be obsolete.
And this was produced by Steve here. Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Bill introduced into Brazil's Congress. So, and this is just a couple weeks after Trump's not even in office yet. So if they do establish this Bitcoin strategic reserve or any kind of government acquisition of Bitcoin, official United States endorsement of the token, we're going to see an arms race. We're going to see, because Bitcoin is a scarce and finite resource. Like I said, this is not hopium. This is not anything, you know, fake or embellished. There already is a Bitcoin arms race happening. BlackRock sees the writing on the wall. They have been buying Bitcoin and not selling it all this whole year. So they have been buying consistently, and holding on to this. Again, balances across the world on cryptocurrency exchanges for Bitcoin are at an all-time low. They're at the lowest point in human history. People are realizing that this is a scarce asset. And if America does this, you're already seeing this. These are just rumors of America doing it. China legalizes Bitcoin. Brazil already putting it on their balance sheet. There is a political candidate in Suriname. She's a woman, and she said she wants to make Bitcoin the legal tender of Suriname. And if that happens, that is going to take that country to a whole new economic level, because this is the future of the world. And in addition to that, this is already the proof of concept already has been happened, because the president of the nation of El Salvador, he invested $250 million into Bitcoin in 2020. People laughed at him. And now that price has doubled, and it's going to continue to go up. And he has completely turned that whole thing around. That's a lot of money for a small nation state. And then in addition to that, he was the first president to call President Trump and congratulate him. And, you know, Trump has been seeing what's going on with the nation of El Salvador. And I mean, like I said, I just think like there are bright times ahead. Like all of this is none of this is hopium. None of this is, you know, embellished. This is all legit and verified true. And this is what I'll talk about. This is posted by Cointelegraph here. This is the Suriname presidential candidate has a BTC vow. Maya Parbho pledges to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, replacing the Suriname dollar with satoshis, which are micro pieces of Bitcoin, and pay salaries in Bitcoin. So this is on the global stage now, and like I said, as America goes, the world follows. And we have a good government in office. I think things are good. Somebody in the chat says, one of the mods says, "Is Alex Becker still a good source?" I would say no. Personally, he was just caught doing pump and dumps with Mr. Beast, and everything he's predicted so far has been terribly wrong. He has been saying that like GameFi is going to dominate crypto, but here's the facts. If you just look at KAITO AI,
Beam as well, which he loved.
all his shit. This is GameFi, 5.7% of the total crypto mind share. That's 24 hours. We'll go to 48 hours. Again, 5.92%. We'll go to 7 days, 6%. We'll go to 30 days, 5%, 3 months, 7%, 6 months, 7%, and then 12 months, 7%. GameFi has actually been losing relevancy as the bull market progresses onwards. And that's because AI and memes are the narrative this time around. Like if you're not in AI and memes, you know, I don't know what to say. Like, you know, you shouldn't be chasing pumps, but that has been the narrative. That has been what's been generating so much money, especially with pump fund and all that. So I think we're about to see something similar to the arms race. It's the Bitcoin arms race, and the price is reflective of that. I mean, guys, it would be some seriously like Illuminati shit if Bitcoin doesn't go to 100K this year. I just think, Alex, what do you think? Like, do you think we break it in calendar year? We got about 35 days.
Easy.
Yeah.
We should have like a right translated cycle pushing us into the middle of December. And if we only literally have $500 to play with before 100K, we kind of need to. Like, there's sort of nothing stopping Bitcoin from doing that. It could easily, and as a show, like it could easily, if it was going to make like a local top for a little while, it would be all the way up at 130 something thousand. Then we'd be like, okay, we're probably going to get 2 months of nothing. But that would be pretty overextended. So, somewhere 115 $105,000 to $115,000 would be very reasonable.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I would expect another week down next week, but the price has recovered pretty well over the well, just like today sort of. So I guess we'll have to play it by how it goes, but we're not at a day 30 quote unquote yet for a mid-cycle low. So yeah, and we're still over 40% up. Everything is just really, really good. There's someone in the chat who's saying, "Oh, I don't think we've gone parabolic yet," and I just feel like you're getting caught up in the time frames. Like 73K on November 6th, we broke out and we've broken out. Like off we go. That is the point from which now the cycle is just going to launch. And whether or not you're saying, "Oh yeah, but like we might have a 20% drop in the middle of the year and then it'll go up really a lot in a fast period of time," perhaps. But like 73K, that was the zone. We broke that. We're off. Like off we go. Last week, we spent like 90 minutes talking about how, September is like the start of we're looking for top. So, 5 days later, don't be sitting there going, the market's over. Like, just.
I'd also
real quick, I'm just going to, Steve, you go right after me. This is live. Okay. So as of November, as of this very moment, we're up 37%. And typically, like we said, when you have a green September, you have a green October, and you have a green November, and you have a green December. Last year we were all green because again, September was green. September is green here in 2016 all the way through. This was a halving year. Okay. This was a bull market year. And 2020, we had a little bit dip that this 2020 was a wild year. But again, this was like we said, we've also predicted, because this was a presidential year and a halving year. We had green all the way to the end. Nice returns here. So far, so good. I would be very shocked if we have a red December. I think we are absolutely going to have a green December. And on top of that, also there's rumors that Amazon is looking to buy $250 million worth of Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor is set to speak to the board of directors at Microsoft. They're a large company. I think they're not $1 trillion asset company, are they? But they have a lot of money, and he's going to be talking to them about adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. So this is now, people are watching MicroStrategy, and if you pay attention, there's a company in Japan called MetaPlanet, and MetaPlanet is literally just doing the exact same thing that MicroStrategy is doing at a smaller level, and they are absolutely crushing it too. So.
Alrod Crypto just made a good point in the chat. Gary Gensler's also out, so there we go.
And then Mark Anderson was just, confirming what we believed, that the last administration, they were this draconian administration. They were trying to have total government control. Who knows who's in charge? It wasn't Biden, and it certainly Kamala was just a DEI hire. So I don't know who the hell was running the country, but they had some insane plans for the American people. And thank God, in true American fashion, the American people fought back. We voted in Donald Trump. He's been the most pro-crypto candidate and the only pro-crypto candidate in the United States of America history. So I think you guys aren't bullish enough. We are just getting started. The first 100 days of his presidency are going to show a lot. And even if he completely does a 180, which I really doubt he will, we're going to have a pretty nice 2025, in my opinion. Closing thoughts, guys?
My honest closing thought for the current situation is, my boss says that a stock recommendation is completely worthless unless you know the exact embedded expectations as to why the stock is trading and where. What has been, and when we say embedded expectations, we mean what is the market thinking of it and what has been already priced in. What has been the long-term embedded expectation in cryptocurrency that keeps cryptocurrencies constantly low, constantly? What is the big argument against cryptocurrency? It can't be trusted. It's a scam. It's used for crime. The people who make these projects are all charlatans looking to take your money. Well, now, for the first time, really this year and a bit of 2023 in history, are we getting all the major financial firms to formally make financial products such as an ETF, to invest in crypto with, lending their legitimacy to it. For the first time in history, we're getting a lot of countries' governments coming back and saying, wait, we need to, step back here. This is something that we have to win in. This is something we have to invest in. This is something we need to park our money in. So if all the largest financial institutions in the world are creating a way to invest in this, and if the country and if all the governments of the world are saying this is something that we have to compete in, that whole crypto is illegitimate argument, poof, out the window. Forget about it. Gone. And for that reason, really, on a very, very just like deep fundamental level, that's why this bull market honestly shows so much more promise than any other bull market that's come before it. Really, truly. So that's why, I mean, fundamentally, for these two reasons, this is the reason to be. This is kind of the bull run to make it, guys. Just my thoughts, just my underlying opinion. That's all. That's what I close with.
Yeah, and like I said, the mayor of Vancouver just came out 7 hours ago, said that they want to hold Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, strategic asset as well. So again, we're just getting started. We are literally just getting started. Alex, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I've been feeling very, very positive about 2025, and seeing Steve get so excited, I'm getting even more excited. Like, yeah, everything is just lining up so well. We've been talking about this all year. We've been talking about this even earlier than that in chats and things before we put season 2
when
together.
we met up in Tokyo, when we met up in Japan, all of us,
So, yeah, it's great. And bull market, so dips are to be bought because the trend is up. Trend is your friend. We're going up. So if it drops, just buy some more. And really, you should probably have already been allocated. So this should just be sort of we're just riding the wave. And yeah, enjoy.
That's going to do it for us here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And we're going to be back next week. Sorry, my camera just crapped out. I don't know what the hell's going on. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.